Hello everybody, welcome back to the workshop. In this video, we are going to be continuing on our 10-part series of the guide to 10 hand-forged Christmas gifts. And this is an ebook that we are selling that has all the SEO mapped out for you, stock sizes, material costs, labor costs, and potential profit that you can make and how much you can sell these items for. So in this video, we are going to be making a stocking hanger. Now this particular stocking hanger is meant to hang on a mantle or on a ledge of something, of some kind. You can make something very similar as just a wall hook, something that just, screws into the wall. Usually these are decorations that people put on mantles and then take up whenever they're done with Christmas and things like that, or whatever particular holiday you may find yourself in. So the starting stock dimension is 20 inches long, or for a total of 500 millimeters. And then we've got a mark coming in 4 inches from one end, or 100 millimeters. And then we have a mark coming in from the other end, 6 inches in, or 150 millimeters. And the reason for this being is this will give us a center portion of approximately 10 inches, I think that's correct. Make sure, yeah, that'll give us a center section of 10 inches or 250 mil between our 2 points. The reason for this being is we need enough material in here to take and make a big scroll on this piece. And it's a big scroll. If you've ever done scrolls, they really eat up material. So I'm going to get this hot. Now all these measurements is just what I have found to work. You can adjust these for larger or smaller hooks, and depending on size of mantle. So we'll get this hot and we'll move on to the first step. Again, if you want to take and purchase or download the plans for this, or the digital download, the ebook for this, you can go and get those over at a resource link down in the description, blacksmithpdfs.com, and yeah, go check it out. Okay, starting on the end, we are going to use the flat of our hammer, and we're going to hammer straight down and for approximately about 2 inches of material. We're going to want this to just spread flat and even if we can. We're trying to get this to start to flare. Then we're going to flip it over to the cross peen of our hammer, and we're going to try to flare this out a little bit more. Clean it up with the flat again. Any sort of the pull out marks, stretch out marks. And bring it to center. Square it up, make sure everything's good, and we're good to go. Now once you get one end like this done, I find it advisable to do the same exact thing on the other end, or to work whatever finial you're going to put on the end that's going to hold the stocking. Go ahead and work on that now. So cool off this end and go on to your other end. It's a lot easier to do it now versus once you start scrolling things up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick off camera. It's the same principle as what we just did here. Flat face hammer blows for about 2 inches of the material. Flip over, use your cross peen to take and draw things out widthways versus lengthways. And then back over to your flat face of your hammer to dress out all of those spreading marks until you have a nice smooth surface. Okay, now that we've got that done, we're going to go ahead and just start this like any scroll you would ever start. We're going to start over the edge of the anvil. And we're not going to roll this real tight. We want a fairly loose scroll, but you want to watch it develop as you go. Keep taking bigger and bigger bites and keep hammering back towards yourself. You want to keep this centered up as you go. Now, just as a quick tip, when you're doing this in a coal forge and you're not using a gas forge, you want to take and moderate the length of your heats. So right now you're working with a very short heat on this end because we're just trying to get this end to start to curl. The next heat, I'll take a much longer, we'll take a much longer heat so this way we can get this to continue to scroll up really nice. This is why, and here's our first mark. So this is the 6-inch end, and this is going to have the bigger scroll on it. This is why I said you need a lot of material here to leave out. Because you can see we don't have very much scrolled up, and we're already that far away from being all the way scrolled up. So I'll take a full 6-inch heat on this and start rolling the rest of that scroll. Okay, now this part's optional. I find that they look a little bit prettier if you do this portion of this process. But now we are going to take and do some alternating twisting. I like to do a little alternating twist every now and then on some of my projects. I think it just adds a little something extra to them. You don't have to go crazy with it if you don't want. I like to get a pretty good twist going on it. And that way it'll hold up to the back twist when you go for the back twist. So let me add that back to that a little bit. The easiest way to do an alternating twist, by the way, just so you know, is to take and have this with a torch. So much easier. You don't waste any time that way. You don't have to cool off any material. You don't have to be selective of your heat and things. You can just get the work done fast and effective. So we're just putting a little twist there. You don't have to do an alternating twist down the whole thing. I like to just put it in one area if I can. You know, again, it just adds a little more visual interest to the piece and kind of gives a break from where the scroll ends and where the rest of the hook is going to begin. So I'm going to go ahead and heat this up, and I'm going to just go ahead and work down this piece and do a couple little twists. A couple more cross-section twists here, and then we will move on to the hook end. Okay, now that we've got that all done, now we're going to take and scroll up our other end for our hook. But the way we're going to do this is, we're going to just go ahead and bend it in the same direction. We want to go the same direction as the original scroll, in the same plane. And all we're wanting to do here is roll this little fishtail in really nice and even, and make a fairly tight curl on this one. And we're going to give that a little bit more, and then hammer it a little bit more, and always keep it moving. The purpose that we're doing here, or what we're attempting to do with this piece, try to get that squared up. A little out of shot on that one, I know, guys, so please forgive me on that. What we're trying to do with this is we're trying to take and get a little outward turn, a little outward roll on this, because this other portion here is going to get bent up. It's going to get bent around this way to become our hook for our stocking hook. Now, that means, like in small little rat tail scrolls, we're going to quench off this end on the next heat, and we're going to take a much longer heat in here and go ahead and give it a bend. So I'm quenching off the part that we don't want to disform, and now we're going to go ahead and bend this other piece. Now really the trickiest portion of this is making sure that you keep this nice and square. We want to keep this nice and square. We're just trying to give this a little bit of a bend around. It's going to want to try to twist on you, this little fishtail. You just have to work on that and just straighten it just a little bit. Go to the anvil. You just want to keep all that nice and squared up with one another. And there you have it. That's pretty close to where I want it. We'll need a little more in the way of this twist. I'll have to take probably one more little heat to get, I got a tiny little twist in there. But then that's basically it. So that's how you make a stocking hook. Again, you can bend up less. You can bend up less or more, depending on the look that you're going for. But the ideal here is, so now this will hang just like so on the stocking, or on the mantle piece, if you will. Now, that means you may want to bring this portion here back and curl it back in a little bit more, because if you think about how this is sitting on the mantle, you can see how that kind of hangs out like that. So we may want to bring that back just a little bit. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick, and then we'll give this thing a little bit of a brass brush finish, and we'll call this video good. Okay, to put a brass brush finish on it, you don't want to go up to a scaling heat. You just want to take and go up to a dull red, or just up to a bright red, and then let it cool down to a dull red before you try to start brass brushing. What this will do for you is the extra heat in the bar will allow you to put some extra brass brushing on there, but you won't actually notice anything starting to stick until it is fully cooled down to more of a black heat, to a really dull red or black heat. Then you'll start noticing everything starting to stick and not just melt right back off. So I find that to be a very important lesson there for anybody who's wanting to do brass brushing on this. Again, brass brushing is not a requirement. It's just adding a little extra panache to what would otherwise just be dark steel. The cleaner you get this piece, Like, i.e. you wire wheel it real heavily first, the better off that brass brushing will look, or the brighter it will be, and the hook will look less dark overall. There you guys hopefully can see that. The brass brushing. If you can't, you most likely saw it in the thumbnail when you guys clicked on the video. But anyways, that's how you make a stocking hook for a mantle. Again, that is all in the guide to 10 hand-forged Christmas gifts. If you like to take and purchase that ebook with all the SEO already figured out, stock sizes written down, pictures of this item, and all that good gooey goodness for Christmas there. So this way it can help you maybe make a couple touchable, tangible items in your shop for your clients this winter. I greatly appreciate the support. So yeah, just go check that out over at blacksmithpdfs.com. Without further ado, I'm going to get back to forging. God bless you all, and you have a Merry, Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before then.